Alright, yo, we back with another video. So Geto came out basically today. Obviously at the time of recording this, it might be, yesterday by the time it does go out. But essentially, he is the newest character to release on JJK Friend Parade, and he definitely is a powerful unit indeed. Obviously, based on my experience playing with him on the JP version. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a showcase. Of course, we're going to do the standard formula. One team in kind of like the optimal situation, kind of like how you would normally run him, and then obviously him in a nuke comp. So let's go right to the character and kind of discuss a little bit about what he does and why he's so good. Now, I know a lot of people obviously are going to be skipping him, and I don't blame him. He is definitely a powerful unit. It's just his position definitely can be replaced by other characters. You don't necessarily need him, although he is probably the best at what he does. So we got his skill 1. So skill 1 is definitely going to be one of like the most powerful skill 1s in the entire game. For some reason, Getos all seem to have like this powerful skill 1. So basically what it does is it's going to deal melee attack hybrid damage to an enemy equal to, and then obviously the percentages aren't going to matter because I have them all at 8 rather than at level 10. If his cursed energy is no less than 30, then he'll apply 20% crit rate to himself, and then if his cursed energy is no less than 40, then he'll apply 20% damage dealt increase to himself one time, and then of course the damage dealt increase scales with the amount of cursed energy that he has up to 50%. So the more cursed energy you have, the more damage you're going to deal, because you're going to get that damage increase, and you're just going to continuously keep doing it over and over and over and over. So you're going to do a lot of damage once you start getting your cursed energy built, and obviously for a Geto character that's not really an issue, simply due to the fact of his passive, which allows him to constantly get cursed energy. So his skill 1 does a lot of damage. It literally is probably the best one in the game, like in my opinion, because it just has crit increase, and it also has damage dealt increase up to 50%. A 50% increase on top of this just for a free skill is crazy. Next up, we're going to have a skill 2. So skill 2 and skill 3s are going to be varying depending on your situation. So you have Cursed Spirit Manipulation Technique A, and this is going to deal ranged hybrid damage to the enemies, and then applies 16.7% Cursed Technique damage taken increase to the enemy for 4 turns. So this is going to be kind of what you're going to be stacking your debuffs with. So that's kind of how he fulfills in the role as a debuffer but slash DPS. He's going to be dishing out damage while also increasing the amount of damage they take. And then of course, if your cursed energy is no less than 35, then you'll apply 18.2% Ya attribute curse technique damage taken increase to previously specified enemies for 4 turns. So if you don't know what Ya is, that's obviously green. So yeah, if you're a green character, you're going to be dishing out even more damage. You can literally continuously spam this without worrying about dropping below that threshold. So it's very powerful, especially on a mono green team. That's what makes him very powerful. He's kind of like essentially a staple in almost every green team. Next up, we have Cursed Spirit Manipulation Technique B. So this is going to be fairly similar to the other one, except it's going to be for physical. So you're going to deal 334% physical damage to the enemy and 182% Curse Technique to the enemy, and then apply 16.7% physical technique damage to the enemy, right? So keep in mind, this is essentially the reversed on your your modifiers, and then of course you are applying physical damage taken instead of curse damage taken. Next up, we have his ult. So now his ult, obviously it's not max, so keep in mind this isn't the max stats, but they're definitely pretty high. So you're going to be applying a 100% break damage increase yourself. So this is going to help you break. And keep in mind, when you use this character, you don't essentially use him as your main carry, you use him as your sub DPS, your debuffer utility sub DPS. And him being able to break is nice, because if you have more break damage, that means he can break before your next character, who's your main carry, goes, right? And then they're going to be able to dish out more damage because the enemy's going to be broken. Now, he's going to apply 40 max cursed energy increase to self for 4 turns, and then recover 20 cursed energy to self. And then he's going to deal ranged hybrid damage to the enemy equal to 834% of physical and 1001.9% of curse technique. That is an extremely high modifier, He's definitely one of the hardest hitting green characters in the game. All right, so now without further ado, let's actually go into the team comps. So this is going to be kind of like the standard team that you would normally use. You're going to have Yaga here to constantly put up buffs. Now, you don't necessarily need to use Yaga. You can use Momo. That's fine as well. But Yaga, I tend to find a little bit better than Momo, right? Granted, you are able to get your full stacks. But sometimes Momo is even better because you also get that break damage increase, situation dependent. But You can use either or. I'm just going to use Yaga specifically for this video. We're going to have Unity to charge our ults faster. Yuki's strictly here to boost our curse technique, right, for our Hollow Purple Gojo, because he is our main carry. And then, of course, you know, Geto will benefit a little bit from it because he is a hybrid. And, of course, he's going to have perfect sync, and he's here for curse energy regen for Geto and Yaga, because Geto does want to stay above a certain threshold. Now, in terms of Geto, he's going to be using adult time because he is a hybrid character, and we don't really have any good hybrid like memories currently as it stands. Now, of course, there is one that comes in the future that we're definitely going to want. That one, it's literally him with the dragon, I believe, behind him, so that one is going to probably be his best in slot. But for now, we're going to be using adult time because, of course, when he crits, then he'll increase the crit rate of everybody. So it's very nice utility, considering his skill 1 does give him crit rate. So he will have a higher chance to crit, and once he does crit, he's going to boost the whole team's crit rate. So it's going to be a little bit better for, you know, your actual main DPS, and it's just damage dealt. So you don't have to worry about him being a hybrid. Damage dealt is just going to increase him overall, his overall damage. And then we have Hollow Purple Gojo as our main carry, naturally with non-standard, because that will help him get to his ult as quickly as possible. Next up, we have the Nuke team. So the Nuke team is going to be kind of the same, where we're going to have Yaga, Momo, and Nanami. Now, we don't necessarily need Nanami here. We could even go with Yuki if we really wanted to, but that's basically going to be the team that we're going to be using. 3 buffers, and then Geto. This is going to be for our Nuke. Now, I've already mentioned before, don't expect like anything crazy in terms of Nuke for Geto. You use him strictly as kind of like your sub DPS. Now, he can do good damage as your main DPS, but you're mainly looking for him to do damage as your sub, right? So anyways, without further ado, let's actually get into the showcase part. Alright, y'all, so we're here on floor 37, as you can see, and we are doing the normal showcase of Geto, right? Okay, so we're going to use Unity straight away, use our skill 2. We're just going to keep spamming it. We're going to use skill 3 on Yuki, obviously for curse energy regen. The first turn, we're not going to necessarily use skill 2, just because you need to have above a certain threshold, which needs to be above 35, right, to be able to apply the Yacht attribute. So we're going to have to spam it afterwards anyway. So I think I'm just going to use skill 1, just so I can stockpile my curse energy as much as possible. And then Gojo's going to be spamming his skill 3 the entire duration until 1 turn before his ult, which we will then use his skill 2. Now, of course, when we do get the other memory later on, the one that has Geto and his dragon curse thingy behind him, that's definitely going to be one of his best ones. But for now, we're just using adult time. So we're here on the second turn. We're just going to do the standard. Now we can actually start using our skill 2 of our Geto. And we're going to use skill 3 on Gojo once again. He's draining our curse energy. A little bit annoying, but that's okay. Buff again, we'll attack normally, skill 2, and then we'll attack. Now, obviously, in normal circumstances, we would use skill 2, but Geto is probably not going to be ready with his ult anyway, so we're just going to use skill 3. We'll buff, use skill 3 because we're not going to ult just yet. Skill 2. And then we will debuff with the, of course, skill 2. Actually, we might just even wait an extra turn, even further past that. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it. We'll wait one more turn. Okay, so we buff. Attack. We'll debuff. Skill 2. And this is the turn that we're actually going to do all the magic. Alright, so we'll just go back real quick just so you can kind of see all of our buffs active and then all the debuffs. we got 3 stacks of that on the enemy, and then obviously we have the damage taken increase from Gojo's skill 2. And then for buffs, we have, of course, all of these, all from Yaga naturally. And then the same for, of course, Geto. Now, of course, he has decreased Curse Technique by 25%, so he's not going to deal the most amount of damage here in this situation, but that's okay because we're not here to shine on what Geto can do in terms of damage, but what can he do as a debuffer in a normal team. So he's still going to do pretty good damage despite having that 25% decrease, and then obviously our Gojo is going to be the one dealing most of our damage. So you'll be able to see the spotlight in which he can actually elevate whoever your main carry is for green. Right? So then we're just going to ult. And yeah, this should be pretty high damage because we're also going to get the buff from Yuki's ult and then his memory as well. $3.3 million-ish. The good thing about Geto, though, is he has nice setup since he has 100% break damage on his ult, which allows whoever comes next to absolutely destroy their enemy. Yeah, what was that? 11 million without a crit? Yeah. GG, by the way. But yeah, Geto completely underrated, and you know, of course, people just kind of forget what he can actually do. He's not only just going to be dealing damage, but he's also going to be providing more damage for the rest of your team, whoever your carry is going to be. So you can, and obviously in most situations when you're running a mono green team, most of the time Geto's literally there almost 95% of the time. He's literally a staple in the mono green team. Obviously there is other options like Gakuganji, which you can also use. But if you don't have Gakuganji, like 95% of the time, you're going to be using green Geto with whoever your green main DPS is going to be, just because he's that good. He can obviously complement characters who are of the curse technique, or he can even complement characters who are of the physical technique, right? So he's definitely going to be a very powerful character. But yeah, let's get right into the actual Nuke showcase now, right? So now all we have to do now is literally just cook him. So we got our final turn here, so we're going to buff. We're going to use, of course, the Wasp and then our buff. Then Nanami is going to use, of course, the Perfect Sync. And since we now have, of course, the max buffs with all the characters, well, we're about to get the next buff with, of course, Momo, right? The next buff for this. We should be able to do the max amount of damage possible. Here we're going to be using, you know, adult time too on top of it with our ult. So let's see how much damage we do here to this boss. Alright, so it's loading, so we definitely killed him. I mean, that should have been fairly obvious. Okay, we got 1 million with Nanami. He's cooking. Alright, let's see how much we get with Geto. Okay, we got 6.4 million. That's actually pretty good. Not bad. So we got almost 7.8 mil in total between the both of them, and yeah, we did pretty good damage considering that he's not even really going to be your main DPS, but you definitely can run him as your main DPS, as you've seen there. Yeah, great character. Just skip him though. Low priority of the 3. Anyways, appreciate you guys for watching. Peace.